Yo, what's good, fellow ninjas? We got Thousand Year Blood War, the Separation, episode 3. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I completely forgot that it came out today on Saturday. I was actually gonna make a Rinse a Girlfriend video, but I guess I'm gonna postpone it for tomorrow. And yeah, we're just gonna get into it and yeah, play my shit. I'm just gonna quickly say that you should go ahead and watch my previous video on the last Bleach episode, which again I'll have further explanations into more detail and go into more detail of the things that I mentioned in this video if you don't know. And here we go. So we start off with Hitsugaya being defeated by Bass P once again from the last episode. Rangiku is also defeated by Stormleader I or Kangdu. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. I'm not entirely sure. He's the one basically who stole Hitsugaya's Bankai in the first season, so basically he's gonna end up using that a little bit later on. So we cut away to Kisuke Urahara basically contacting Mayuri Kuretsuchi and in the lab, and Mayuri basically refusing to work with him after Urahara basically says he knows how to get the Bankais back. They're both the smartest characters in Bleach or in the Serite or amongst the Soul Reapers, so they kind of butt heads most of the time that they're on screen. I just quickly mentioned that. And basically they use these bunch of insects called the Kaizochu insects, and they're basically used to connect through the wirings in the Serite so they can communicate with everyone there. And Urahara then reveals immediately after how they basically get their Bankais back by using a pill that's called the Shinayuki. Yeah, Shinayuki, explaining that it's basically a slight halification process that's deadly to the Quincy's, which is kind of reminiscent to something that Sosuke Aizen did in the original Bleach running of the anime, also in the manga, of course. And so the Soul Reapers use the Shinayuku, and the Quincy's that stole the Bankai or slowly end up being poisoned throughout the anime, the run show of this episode. So Soi-Fon is basically saved by Lieutenant, I'll have a picture on the screen, by Lieutenant Omeda. That was his name. I completely forgot last episode. So Lieutenant Omeda basically saves her from being basically stabbed multiple times or impaled by the robot Quincy that we see from the last episode. And they basically hear the explanation that Urahara gives of how, they use the pills and they can get their Bankais back, and thus also poisoning the Quincy's that have their Bankais. So Soi-Fon releases her Bankai. Again, beautiful Soi-Fon, my perfect waifu in this anime. Mama Soi-Fon, I'm gonna call her. Basically unleashes her Bankai. Side note, she hates the Bankai specifically because it's too flashy for an assassin like her. Which you don't know, her squad unit is basically like the assassin group of the Serite. So the Bankai Jakuho Raikuren, which is the name of the Bankai. She also gets a payback from the episode 2, in which she also gets explode and hits the Quincy with her own explosion, which is absolutely chef's kiss. I love it. It's beautifully animated, and seeing her Bankai back really gives me goosebumps. I just fucking loved it. I always loved it since the first time I saw it. So anyways, continuing along, Lieutenant Omeda braces for the shot, obviously holding her because she's been basically hit point blank, like I said earlier in the previous episode. So she's basically fucking hurt, right? So again, she can't really hold herself up to even shoot it, but perfectly placed enough to even get it off. So that's fine. Then we cut back to Hitsugaya. He basically starts getting full control of Hyorimaru, which is his Bankai, and basically starts defeating Stormleader I. I'm gonna just say Stormleader I because it's a lot easier than his real name. And then Bass P off to the sidelines, basically fleeing. He says, "I'm out," and it was a cool picture right there. I'm gonna show it. Hitsugaya then ends up collapsing after looking at Rangiku. Of course, her neck being slashed earlier in the episode, as shown. And sadly, we still don't know what happens to her, if she dies or not. I'm not gonna spoil that, or I'm not gonna really get into it, but basically they end up collapsing, and she's still on the floor. And then, the biggest flex of this episode, Shinji Haraku is finally shown using his Bankai after being surrounded by a bunch of Quincy's drawing their bows and arrows at him. Again, unleashes his Bankai, and basically, if you don't know, his Bankai is basically a huge area of effect, which he has to be careful because if he has it out for too long, even his own Soul Reapers can be affected by his Bankai. So basically, his Bankai turns everyone against each other. Everyone goes in a frenzy. Anyone around him, anyone near, like in the surrounding area. And mind you, again, it's a huge aerial effect, so he has to be very careful when he uses it. So all of the Quincy's end up killing each other off while he's inside his little cocoon barrier, which again is provided by his Bankai. And then we skip again, once again, to 3 lieutenants who end up fighting the luchador looking Stormritter. And as you can see in the background, there's a guy who just rings the bell like if it's a real match. And I thought it was a funny gag. It was really quick and easy, you know, it's just out of the way. I thought it was hilarious, out of left field. Mommy Bampi comes up, you know, the waifu on the Stormritter side, which I've seen a lot of good art on recently. She basically throws a fit after the girls under her, you know, because she was the leader of a bunch of girls on the Stormritter side. They basically end up leaving her, and she ends up going in comedic Super Saiyan. And again, after defeating all of the underlings on the Soul Reaper side, basically the Kamamura, if you don't know, is like a dog kind of version of a Reaper. I mean, they don't show his face, but he's briefly shown for like a few seconds, and then Shinji again shows up and using his Shikai, basically telling Kamamura he can go on ahead. I'll basically handle this. And if you don't know his Shikai, his second release form, basically he can. It's like when you're playing a fighting game, specifically Mortal Kombat. I think they used to have this. I'm not sure of any other game. You can correct me on that later on. But basically, it makes left equal right and up equals down. So it'll change your whole viewing, like your movements. So if you try to move your left arm, I remember in the original airing of Bleach, he actually uses it against another enemy named Sasuke Aizen, and for example, he would move his right arm and his left leg would move, and vice versa throughout his whole body. So basically, it distorts reality. And there's another brilliant shot right immediately afterwards, where he's basically talking to her and she doesn't understand him because, again, her reality is distorted, and she doesn't know what the hell's going on and what's happening. And basically, when he's talking, it comes out in reverse, and there's a beautiful shot where even the text, like the subtitles, or reversed. Sorry, excuse me for that. Basically, they're reversed, and it's just a brilliant fucking shot. Like, it was so fucking amazing. The fact that they even did that, kudos to them. French kiss, mwah, right? That's literally how I felt. Like, it was so amazing. It was captivating. It brought me in, bro. It was awesome to finally see his Shikai and his Bankai in the same episode once again. So fucking amazing. And sorry for the cursing, but it was just that awesome. I can't contain my excitement right now. And so this is my head theory again, because, well, I'm getting ahead of myself, but it's at this point it seems like the Soul Reapers are basically having the upper hand in this war, and it seems like they're gonna actually pull it off, like they're gonna make a comeback, right? But then there's a cutaway shot of Johann Bach, and it seems like he was already aware of this, right? Like he had thought it over. And this is my head theory. Like, I'm pretty sure I heard it somewhere before, but I'm not entirely sure, so don't put my name out there. But I'm almost 100% sure that he basically has like this foresight ability, so he's able to see through the future, right? And that's why he can make all these plans and be prepared, which is why he killed head captain Yamamoto, and he was able to see that, right? So again, I feel like he's able to see the future in some form or fashion, and again, like he basically predicted it. And at this point, all the Stormritters, or the Quincy's, Stormritters being the strongest of the Quincy's, just put that out there. The Stormritters at this point basically have a power up, and they're all throughout the series, so all of them have a power up. But the only one that's really shown having that power up is Mama Bampi, which I think, you know, was brilliantly done. Like she ends up having like this aura. It was like a red aura, and she ends up having like wings and like a crown looking thing, if I'm not mistaken. And again, beautifully done. But at this point, we don't know what's gonna happen, because that's basically the end of the episode. And then we're just gonna talk about real quick the ending of the episode, the title. I forgot what it's called. This is my 5th time trying to record this part. Again, so many limitations on the PS4 share factory, so just bear with me. But Ichigo in the ending credits, after the ending credits, he's basically saying he's shown to still be practicing how to get his new Bankai, because again, Yuha Bak being able, basically all this time he was pretending to be his original Bankai, and again, so he ends up having like these flashbacks. I'm getting ahead of myself again. He ends up having these flashbacks, or like visions appearing on him or to him, and we don't know if they're from the future or from the past or what have you, or maybe throughout the war, like that's going on right now. Because there's some shots where it's Shinji Shirakai's like Shikai ability shown for like a few frames, and again we don't know what's happening with that, but it seems like my head theory is that he might have some type of powers that are similar to Yuha Bak's, being that he can see the future, and that's just my head theory. But again, hope you guys, that's gonna be the end of it, and I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Thank you for sticking with the video for this long, and as always, I greatly appreciate if you drop a like, hit the subscribe button, hit the noti bell to get notified from the next video. And with that being said, I hope you have a wonderful day, and as always, peace out, deuces.